You should always trust your instincts. What they don't tell you is that sometimes your instincts come in the form of a stranger pounding on your door at 4:47 a.m., telling you if you go to work today, you'll never come home. I learned this lesson on a freezing October morning in Chicago when my upstairs neighbor, a man I'd barely spoken to in 2 years, woke me up to save my life and reveal that everything I knew about myself was a lie. My name is Valerie Cross, 31 years old, pharmaceutical researcher at Helix Biotech in the South Loop, living alone in a converted loft in Pilsen. Daughter of Dr. Martin Cross, who died 6 months ago in what police called a random mugging near Millennium Park. A woman who thought she understood her place in the world until the day she learned she was never meant to survive past her 31st birthday. Before we get into this, hit that subscribe button. This story is about government conspiracies, corporate greed, and what happens when you discover you're worth more dead than alive. You'll want to see how I made them all pay. The pounding started at 4:47 a.m. I jolted awake in my studio loft, heart racing. Chicago in October meant darkness until almost 7 a.m., and the sound of fists on metal echoed through my apartment like gunshots. I grabbed my phone, no messages, no missed calls, and stumbled to the door in my sleep shirt and sweatpants. Through the peephole, I saw Owen Carver, my upstairs neighbor. He lived in 3B, directly above me. In 2 years, we'd exchanged maybe 20 words total. Quiet guy, kept to himself, worked from home doing something with computers. Now he looked terrified. I opened the door a crack, chain still latched. Owen, what's wrong? Don't go to work today. His voice was hoarse, urgent. Call in sick. Say you have the flu. Say anything. Just don't go to Helix. I stared at him. What are you talking about? There's going to be an incident at your building. A lab contamination. You need to be anywhere but there when it happens. My blood went cold. How do you know that? He glanced down the hallway like he expected someone to appear. Because I helped plan it. Before I knew you worked there. Before I knew they were targeting you specifically. The words didn't make sense. Owen, you're not making any. Your father didn't die in a mugging, Valerie. He was killed because he discovered what Helix was doing with your research. With your blood samples. They staged his death, and now they're staging yours. My hand started shaking. My father's death was investigated. They caught the guy. They caught a homeless man they paid to confess. Your father was a cardiac surgeon who stumbled onto something he wasn't supposed to see during a consultation at Helix. He tried to warn you, but they killed him before he could. I thought about my father's last voicemail, the one I'd saved and listened to 100 times. Val, we need to talk about your work. It's important. There's something about Helix you need to know. I'd been planning to call him back that weekend. Then I got the call from Chicago PD instead. Why are you telling me this? I whispered. Because I thought this was just corporate espionage. Industrial sabotage. I didn't know people were going to die until yesterday when I saw the target list. He pulled a folded paper from his jacket. You're on it. Building C. Lab 7. Contamination protocol at 9:15 a.m. You're supposed to be the first casualty. He pushed the paper through the gap in the door. I unfolded it with trembling hands. It was a facility map of Helix Biotech. Lab 7 was circled in red. Next to it, handwritten, Cross V, primary target, contamination vector. Ensure no survivors. My vision blurred. This is insane. Why would anyone want to kill me? Because of what you are, Owen said quietly, and what your blood can do. I looked up at him. What? Go back inside. Lock your door. I'll be back in 10 minutes with everything you need to see. But Valerie, his eyes locked onto mine. If you go to work today, you won't make it to lunch. He turned and disappeared up the stairs before I could respond. I stood there in my doorway, holding a document that listed me as a target for murder, and realized that the stranger who lived above me knew more about my life than I did. I called in sick. My manager at Helix, Dr. Brennan, sounded annoyed. Valerie, we have the Carmichael presentation today. You're the lead researcher on this project. I know. I'm sorry. I think I have food poisoning. I can barely stand. She sighed. Fine. But I need you to send me your latest data files by 9 a.m. The investors want to see preliminary results. I'll send them from home. I hung up and immediately opened my laptop, logged into the Helix server, started downloading every file related to Project Hematos, the blood research initiative I'd been leading for the past 18 months. Owen returned at 5:03 a.m. This time I let him in. He was carrying a laptop bag and a metal briefcase that looked like it belonged in a spy movie. He set both on my kitchen counter and looked at me seriously. "I'm going to tell you things that will sound impossible," he said, "but I need you to listen to everything before you react." I nodded, my coffee mug shaking in my hands. "My real name is Owen Carver, but I don't work in tech. I'm a data architect for a private intelligence firm called Meridian Solutions. We do corporate espionage, information warfare, digital infiltration. 3 months ago, we were hired by a shell company to execute a project at Helix Biotech." He opened his laptop and pulled up files, emails, contracts, payment records. The job was simple: infiltrate Helix's research division, identify high-value intellectual property, and create a scenario that would allow our client to acquire it. Usually that means leaks, strategic resignations, maybe some planted evidence. But this job was different. He clicked to a video file, security footage from inside Helix. I recognized the hallways, the labs. 2 weeks ago, I was given a second set of instructions. Stage a contamination event in Lab 7. Make it look accidental. Ensure specific personnel are present during the incident. He paused. "You were the primary target. Everyone else was collateral." My stomach turned. "Why me?" Owen pulled out a folder from the briefcase. Inside were medical records. My medical records, but some I'd never seen before. "Have you ever wondered why you never get sick?" he asked. I blinked. "I get sick. Everyone gets sick." "When's the last time you had the flu? A cold? Even a headache that lasted more than an hour?" I thought about it. Couldn't remember. "I don't know. I have a good immune system." "You have an impossible immune system," Owen corrected. "According to these files, you've been tested for every major pathogen known to medicine. Influenza, COVID, bacterial infections, even experimental bioweapons. Nothing affects you. Your body doesn't just fight disease, it's immune to it entirely." He showed me lab results. Charts I didn't understand but recognized as cellular analysis. 5 years ago, when you started at Helix, you submitted a routine blood sample as part of your employment physical. Someone in the lab noticed anomalies. Instead of flagging it, they buried it and started a secret research program using your samples. My breath caught. Project Hematos. Exactly. They've been studying your blood for years, trying to replicate whatever makes you immune. Your father discovered this 6 months ago during a consultation visit. He was reviewing patient files for a heart transplant case and saw your name flagged in a classified database. Owen pulled up more documents. Emails between Helix executives and someone at a government biodefense agency. Your father confronted Helix's CEO, Richard Novak, demanded to know why they were experimenting on his daughter without consent. Novak had him killed 3 days later. Tears blurred my vision. "And now they want me dead too. You're a liability. Your father's death raised questions. If you disappear in a lab accident, they can claim your research died with you while they continue using your samples indefinitely. Clean, profitable, untraceable." I stood up, pacing my small apartment. This is insane. People don't just kill researchers because of blood samples. "They do when those samples are worth billions," Owen said flatly. "Helix is developing a universal vaccine platform using your genetic code. If they succeed, they'll control the entire pharmaceutical industry. But only if no one knows the source. Only if you're gone." He handed me the briefcase. "Everything in here is evidence. Contracts, communications, financial records. I've been building this file for 2 weeks, since I realized people were going to die. This morning, I made a choice. I'm done being part of this." I looked at him. "Why are you helping me?" "Because I've done a lot of bad things in my career, but I've never killed anyone. And I'm not starting with a woman whose only crime was being born with the wrong DNA." My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Where are you? Why aren't you at work? Owen saw it. They know you're not there. They're going to come for you. Then what do I do? We expose them. All of them. Helix, Meridian, everyone involved. But we have to move fast. Before I could respond, my phone rang. Dr. Brennan. I answered, keeping my voice weak. Hello. Valerie, there's been an incident at the lab. A containment breach in Lab 7. We need to account for all personnel. Where are you? My heart raced. I'm home. I told you I'm sick. Right. Of course. Stay home. We'll be in touch. She hung up. Owen and I stared at each other. It already happened, I whispered. He pulled up a police scanner app. Within minutes, reports came through. Hazmat teams responding to Helix Biotech. Multiple casualties. Building evacuated. They're killing everyone who worked on your project, Owen said, making it look like an accident. By tonight, you'll be listed as a victim too. But I'm not there. They'll claim you were. Your ID badge was scanned into the building this morning. Someone used it. Owen opened his laptop. We upload everything. Every file, every email, every piece of evidence. We send it to every major news outlet, every regulatory agency, every law enforcement office in the country. We make sure Helix can't bury this. They'll know it was you. They already know. The moment I didn't follow through on the contamination protocol, I became a target too. He met my eyes. We're both dead if we don't do this right. I looked at the briefcase full of evidence, at the medical records showing what I was, at the proof that my father had been murdered trying to protect me. Do it, I said. Send everything. Owen's fingers flew across the keyboard. This is going to take about an hour to upload to all the encrypted channels I've set up. But once it's out there, it's permanent. Helix, Meridian, everyone involved, they'll be exposed. Good. As files began transmitting, Owen pulled up one more document. A photo of Richard Novak, Helix's CEO, shaking hands with someone in a suit at a gala event. Do you know who that is? Owen asked. I squinted. No. Senator Patricia Winslow. She's on the Senate Committee for Health and Human Services. She's also the one who authorized the biodefense contract that's funding your research. She's been getting kickbacks from Helix for years. The corruption ran deeper than I'd imagined. My phone rang again. Unknown number. I didn't answer. Then Owen's phone rang. He looked at the screen and went pale. It's Meridian, my employer. Don't answer it. If I don't, they'll know for sure I've turned. He answered on speaker. Carver. A cold, professional voice came through. Owen, we have a situation. The cross target wasn't neutralized. She's still alive. I heard. Contamination protocol had complications. We need you to locate her. Bring her in. There's a $500,000 bonus if you deliver her within the next 6 hours. Owen looked at me. I'll find her. Good. Don't disappoint us, Owen. We'd hate to lose such a valuable asset. The line went dead. They're sending a team, Owen said. We need to leave. Now. We grabbed the briefcase and laptops and ran. Owen had a car in the building's garage, a nondescript Honda that looked like it belonged to anyone. We drove north toward Evanston, away from the city, while news alerts started flooding my phone. Breaking. Deadly contamination at Helix Biotech. At least 8 dead. Helix CEO Richard Novak promises full investigation. Authorities searching for missing researcher Valerie Cross. They're saying I'm missing, I said, reading the articles. They're making it sound like I'm a suspect. Of course they are. If they can't kill you, they'll destroy you. Make you look like the villain. I scrolled through more coverage. Then I saw it, a press conference. Richard Novak standing at a podium, looking devastated. Doctor, Valerie Cross was a valued member of our team. We're praying she's found safe. However, early evidence suggests she may have been involved in the contamination incident. We're cooperating fully with authorities. Rage flooded through me. He's framing me for the deaths he ordered. That's why the evidence has to go public, Owen said. Not just to news outlets, to everyone. He pulled over at a rest stop and opened his laptop again. I'm uploading everything to WikiLeaks, anonymous networks, every whistleblower platform that exists. By the time we reach our destination, the whole world will know the truth. What destination? Northwestern Memorial Hospital. Your father worked there for 20 years. He has allies there, people who will protect you while the story breaks. We drove in silence as uploads completed. Then Owen's phone pinged. A message from an encrypted number. Files received. Verifying authenticity. Story goes live in 3 hours. It was happening. By the time we reached the hospital, my phone was exploding with notifications. News outlets were publishing the leaked files. #Helix scandal was trending. Photos of Richard Novak were being plastered across social media alongside damning emails. Owen walked me into the ER, where a doctor I vaguely recognized from my father's funeral met us. Dr. Chun, he said, shaking my hand. Your father was my mentor. He told me if anything ever happened to him, I should look out for you. Can you help us? I've already contacted the FBI. They're sending agents to take your statement and provide protection. You'll be safe here. Owen stepped back. I need to go. Meridian will be looking for me. Where will you go? I asked. Somewhere they won't find me. I've been preparing for this for a long time. He handed me a burner phone. If you need anything, use this number. Only this number. Owen, thank you. You saved my life. He nodded. Your father saved mine once. This was the least I could do. He disappeared into the hospital crowd, and I never saw him again. The next 72 hours were chaos. Richard Novak was arrested at his home in Winnetka. Senator Winslow resigned before the FBI could serve her with a warrant. Meridian Solutions offices were raided across 4 states. The contamination at Helix was confirmed to be sabotage. 8 researchers dead, all involved in Project Hematos, all because they knew too much about what I was. The media called it the biggest pharmaceutical scandal in decades. Congress opened investigations. Families of the victims filed lawsuits. Helix Biotech stock plummeted to nothing. As for me, I testified before 3 different grand juries, gave interviews to major networks, became the face of corporate greed and government corruption. But the sweetest moment came 6 months later. Richard Novak's trial. I sat in the gallery as prosecutors presented the evidence Owen had compiled. Emails, contracts, recordings of Novak ordering my father's death, ordering mine. When they played the audio of him saying, "Make sure the cross woman doesn't leave that lab alive," his wife stood up and walked out of the courtroom. She filed for divorce the next day. His 2 daughters issued a public statement disowning him. The jury deliberated for 4 hours. Guilty on all counts. Murder, conspiracy, bioethics violations, fraud, racketeering. He was sentenced to life in prison without parole. As they led him away in handcuffs, he looked at me. I stared back, unblinking, and mouthed 2 words. For Dad. He looked away first. Senator Winslow faced federal corruption charges. Her political career, spanning 23 years, ended in a single day. Former colleagues deleted photos with her from their websites. The university that had given her an honorary doctorate revoked it. She was sentenced to 20 years in federal prison and fined $8.3 million. Meridian Solutions was dissolved, its executives scattered to prisons across the country. The CEO, who'd personally authorized the hit on me, got 15 years. 3 other operatives who'd helped plan the contamination each received 10-year sentences. Owen's testimony, given remotely from an undisclosed location, was devastating. He'd kept copies of everything, every order, every payment, every communication. His evidence put 11 people behind bars. But the revenge didn't stop at prison sentences. Helix Biotech declared bankruptcy within 8 months. The building where my colleagues died was demolished. The company's name became synonymous with corporate evil, taught in business ethics classes as a cautionary tale of what happens when profit matters more than human life. And me. I left pharmaceutical research entirely. started a foundation in my father's name dedicated to exposing unethical medical experimentation, and became an advocate for research subjects' rights. I also discovered something interesting about my immunity. It wasn't natural. My father had been part of an experimental treatment program 30 years ago when my mother was pregnant with me. He'd been trying to cure a genetic disorder I might have inherited. The treatment worked, but it also made me immune to nearly everything. He'd spent his life trying to protect me from people who would exploit that gift. And when he failed, a stranger named Owen Carver finished what he started. I never heard from Owen again. But every year on the anniversary of that October morning, I get an encrypted message. Still alive. Hope you are too. I always reply the same way. Thanks to you. If this story resonated with you, subscribe and share. Sometimes the people who save us are the ones we least expect. Drop a comment if you've ever had a stranger come through for you when you needed it most. And remember, corporations, governments, powerful people, they all count on your silence. The moment you speak up, the moment you expose them, you take back the power they stole. Here's another video I suggest you watch.